full-time online health and fitness coach,
Mm-hmm.
specializing in primarily prep clients for bodybuilding and lifestyle coaching.
All right. And so, kind of, what made you want to get into kind of like women's bodybuilding?
As a coach or as my personal lifestyle?
Both.
Both. Okay. Well, coaching obviously has stemmed from some poor experiences on my end as a competitor. I've just gone through a few things that showed me I don't want other women to have to go through
Yeah.
these just poor coaching decisions. Um, so I created my business model, first and foremost, in the immediate sense, to help more women who want to do a prep find a healthier way, as healthy as you can do it, a way of prepping and while keeping our female hormones, just in our thoughts. Because a lot of times, most coaches they try. I'm sure that their thought process is very pure. Some not much, but a lot of times we get very eager to put a client up on stage, so we ask them to push a little bit more, push a little bit more, push a little bit more. Next thing you know is, you had a client who is eating under 700 calories for 4 months at a time.
Yeah.
And then post-show, you don't understand why they're having hormone issues.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to become a coach, is so that in the immediate sense, I can help more women fulfill, whether it's just a lifelong dream of going from, extremely overweight to having the confidence to get on stage.
Yeah.
Or it's somebody who, is already in a really great shape and wants to do extremely well on stage.
Yeah.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all here. It's if you have the passion and you want to do it in the right manner, we're here. We're here for it. And then for my personal, why I wanted to get into it for personal reasons.
Yeah.
So I first started off in 2012. A lot of distorted eating habits and patterns. My husband had proposed to me in November 2012, and I had just randomly found a televised bodybuilding show. At this point, I don't even know what one it is. I just stumbled across it, and I was like, oh my God, if those girls can be so confident on stage in a bikini, then I'm going to do this. That's what I'm going to do, and that must make me feel confident on stage, or make me feel confident in my skin too. For all the wrong reasons why I wanted to get started, and I did it all the wrong ways, and it just exacerbated my distorted eating habits and patterns, to the point where I did seek out therapy, went through therapy.
Wow.
Went through that for a little while. I never will say that anybody is fully healed, because it's definitely with eating disorders and distorted eating habits, it's very much like any other recovery, like alcohol or narcotics, whatever it is. You're never fully healed. It's you're constantly in recovery and trying to minimize those relapses, and just trying to keep those voices in your head at bay.
Yeah. Wow.
So, went through therapy. Therapist said, okay, about a year later, she and I were still working together, but she knew that my lifelong dream was to get on stage. At that point, I had really taken the time to really research everything, get to know what the sport was.
Yeah.
So started with this little, pea dream in 2012, and finally got to step on stage November of 2017. So 5 years later, finally got to step on my first stage. And then that coach at the time had me push for stages fall 2017, fall 2018, fall 2019, and spring 2020.
Wow. A lot of stage time.
I have been in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shows, I believe, so far.
Wow. So that's a goal of mine. One day. Just gotta get to my first one first. One day we're gonna get there, you know?
I think it's so much fun. Takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication.
Yeah.
And making sure you have a good coach who won't leave you with scraps of hormones is really hard to find.
Yeah. And that to me is like very, very important that they take into account like your overall like health, because at the end of the day that's kind of what you have to work with. It's what gives you the physique that you have, the mindset that you have, and if that's garbage, well then so is everything else.
Oh my gosh, exactly. So I mean, I had basically been, so I'm only 5 foot. I started my journey in January 1st, 2017 at over 200 pounds. I refused to weigh myself when I first started my journey because I'm like, I already know it's over 200 and I don't want to see that number.
Right.
I just refused to weigh myself. And so basically was caloric deficit for big 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which we all know isn't a good thing to do.
Yeah, no.
Also, why you want to have a coach who will tell you those hard things like, okay, it's really time to stop prepping or stop cutting or stop being in a caloric deficit.
Yeah.
Because you're going to mess up. Because when you get in, you'll have these, we call it prep goggles, and that's all you can see. You're just like, I need to get a little bit leaner, a little bit leaner. I need to keep going.
Right.
And I, at the time, had no clue what I was doing internally. And basically, so I did the Arnold, I think it was March 3rd, 2020. So we're coming right on the year marker since my last time on stage. And that's been a huge adjustment. Actually just started my first lifestyle cut since ending my prep in March of last year. It was a really big eye-opener when I got my blood work done on my own. I'm just like, something's not feeling right. I finished my time in art, and I immediately gained 15 pounds in 2 weeks. I'm like, something's just not right. So I got my blood work done, and the lab who did my blood work, gave it back to me. And they were, when I had answered the phone, they were very surprised at how young of a person was on the other line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, why is that? And they're like, well, based on your results, you're infertile because it looks like you are post menopausal.
What?
And it's all because of things on top of things on top of things.
Yeah.
But it comes down to how long this coach and I had allowed my body to stay in a very low caloric state.
Wow.
So, very long story, but it's one of the reasons. And I had to go through those sort of things to become the passionate coach that I am today.
Yeah.
Very vocal with my clients over their hormonal health and not allowing them to go through what I went through.
See, and I think going through those struggles and kind of learning the mistakes and learning, the right ways to do things makes you a better coach. And in turn, in life, it makes you a better person, going through all the struggles and stuff. Yeah, they may suck, but you come out stronger on the other end,
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely been hard when you fought for, 3.5 years for this very lean body, and then you have to be okay with your body gaining 35, 40 pounds. And so it's different process of, and I'm switching over from, bikini division to wellness division. So I already knew I needed to gain some weight.
Yeah.
And so while going through this hormonal health journey, and then trying to gain this muscle mass, it's been very hard mentally, but I wouldn't have changed it, because it definitely gives me a whole new perspective on multiple different realms.
Yeah, and ultimately it helps your clients.
Yeah.
Helps you help other people.
Yeah. I mean, as a coach or, in any field, I'm actually coming from being a speech therapist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a full-time speech therapist for about 5 years, and then I made the transition into full-time online coach. And I would say, at least in these two aspects, and so far from everyone I've talked to, there's only so much you can learn from books and studies.
Yes.
I would say like 90% of things that I am actually able to help my clients with or apply in everyday life, whether that's in the speech therapy world or with my current online clients, 90% of it comes from my personal experience or learning on the fly.
Yeah.
I understand why we need to do testing and education. That way we have some sort of base knowledge. But people think that they can just get their certification and yay, I'm ready to take on 30 clients.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's a call for struggle.
Exactly. And so, I mean, it was a godsend that, I had been working with a coach who was fairly knowledgeable for 3.5 years. And then I decided, to switch coaches, but then also go ahead and become a coach myself.
Yeah.
My personal experience in the lifestyle and competing world gave me far much more knowledge about how to help my clients than any exam or testing or studying material could have helped with.
Wow. It's that experience, man. That experience, it goes a long way. It really does. It goes a long way. Okay, before I go into the next question, I need a charger for my laptop. I totally forgot it was dying, so I'm gonna be right back. Okay?
You're okay. I'm gonna go grab a soda.
Blah. So the next question is, I guess, kind of like when you started, bodybuilding and everything. When you tell people that you're doing bodybuilding, what would they usually say?
Well, first of all, I always make sure to say I'm a bikini bodybuilder. I feel like there is definitely stigma around just saying I'm a bodybuilder.
Right.
It's fine. Like, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, whatever. But I feel like I can help mitigate some negative opinions. Or at least negative vocalized opinions, if it has the word bikini bodybuilder in it, because most people are like, okay, so you're not going for like extremely huge muscular looking woman, and some people then are more curious and ask more questions and want to get involved and had no clue that there are other
divisions,
other abilities.
Yeah.
They don't know that it's divisions, but they're like, oh, so not everybody has to be extremely muscular and huge? I'm like, no. Like, there are so many different avenues for women to now explore in the bodybuilding community. So a lot of times when I'm explaining it to people, there are some like, oh, what? Most of the time, it comes back to, okay, wow, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining it to me. And then a lot of times I explain how, I started the journey, a little over 200 pounds, and I really wanted something that would push me, and I'm somebody who needs like hard deadlines. I need dates.
Yeah.
I wasn't, and it always surprises people. Like, in high school, yes, I was on the soccer team. Yes, I was on, like, a tennis team. But I was never good. I mean, I was just
you were on it to like say you were on something.
Yeah, exactly. I was there to be there, but whenever there was like a musical or a play that I had more interest in versus sports, I was doing that instead. So definitely back home, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say necessarily opinions, just people are always baffled by the fact that I am now like a bodybuilder,
Yeah.
having a really successful online presence and community and team, because they just still see me as this, the little chubby girl from high school.
Yeah.
So it's just so different there.
Yeah, because when I first told my family, like I decided to do this almost a year ago, maybe like in June or something like that, and I had lost like 50 pounds, and I was like, well, I mean, we lost 50 pounds, what now? And I was like, and I remembered a friend of mine from high school, she had did a bikini competition. And I was like searching through Facebook, like literally scrolling back, trying to find like the pictures and like the post of it. I couldn't find any, but then I was like, well, I'm gonna just look online and I'm gonna like YouTube. And then I got obsessed, and that's all I looked at for like weeks. It's all I still look at, and I'm obsessed. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do in life. That right there. And so I kind of started working out more, and I followed this lady on Instagram, and she happened to be a coach, and I injured my knee. And so I, for some reason, I don't know what came over me, but I reached out to her, and I was like, hey, like I injured my knee. I don't know what to do. I'm a little destroyed. Like, do you have any tips on how I could come back and like work out, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, do this and do that. And she was like, well, what are your goals? And I was like, oh, I'm trying to compete. And she was like, oh, I can help you with that. I'm a coach, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, really? Dope. And she does physique, women's physique. And she's in women's physique and women's bodybuilding. And she's a pretty buff lady. And so I was like, dope. That sounds cool. Let's get it. And so I've been with her, since August,
Yeah.
and I've honestly looked the best I've ever looked. And I've played every sport you could think of, even football. And I in high school I did cheer and drill team, and I still never looked this great. Still have a long way to go, coming from like 260 something pounds to where I'm at right now at like 218. That's still a big difference, but I still have a long way to go at 5'11".
Yeah.
Still a long way. But
Only a whole foot between our height is fine.
I know, right? You say you're 5 feet, and I was like, dang.
On a good day.
On a good day, if you stand, really straight and tall. I know, that was my goal in life. My goal in life was to hit 6, and I'm like an inch under. And I was like, really, Lord? Like, why, Jesus?
You're fine.
I was like, why, Jesus? Why a foot? Like, I don't understand. Why'd you stop me? But yeah, and I told my family that, and my aunt is so funny. She's like 70 something years old, and she goes, so you want to look like a man? Please don't tell me you want to look like a man. And I was like, no. I was like, no, I don't want to look like a man. I'm not going to look like a man. She's like, are you sure? I don't really want you to look like a man. You don't need to gain, or you don't need to gain muscle like that. And I'm like, it's okay. And I had to show her a few videos and, kind of like get her in her mindset. And she was like, oh.
Right.
So you're not going to look like a man. Okay. That's all she was concerned about. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't understand. And she asks me it every single time I talk to her. That's her number one thing. Are you gonna look like a man? And so it's just kind of like, and so then I start to think, okay, when you say that, does everybody think you're like muscular like men and you're gonna look like a man with a lady's face? Like, is that what people think?
Yeah, when you think about bodybuilding, I mean, the sport in general is still fairly new, but it's newer compared to, soccer, football, all of the, older generations would consider real sports.
Yeah.
They've just been around forever, so we've allowed more time for, social society standardized.
Yeah.
For people to understand what it's like. Because I'm sure, when female sports became a thing, I'm sure they got this sort of flack. When female soccer started, a lot of muscle, and you want to be a boy and play soccer. And,
yeah.
So I feel like it takes a minute for society to really like understand things, and then like standardize it.
Yeah, like women can do this too.
And then even past that, when bodybuilding did start becoming a little bit bigger in our parents' generation, they only had the men's side, and they brought on the women's side, and it was just this big. Like bodybuilding when it first started was just as much muscle as you can get, sort of, bodybuilding. And then, so then when you think about it, like this, 2020 was the first time we ever saw the wellness of it.
Yes.
And it's still newer, and as it's becoming more well known, we're starting to learn more and more about it. But I mean, bikini and figure aren't that much, older than wellness.
Yeah.
In the long term of looking at all the sports that we have today, so it just takes people a minute to realize, like, okay, so not every woman who does bodybuilding is, the bodybuilding division.
Yeah.
Because I think it is hard to have a sport called the name and then a division called the same.
Yeah. A little bit harder. Wrestling of bags, ma'am.
Sorry.
We're having our house kind of like fumigated because there are like some bugs, and I don't do bugs, and so we're having to like move everything and put everything in bags. So yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle. So how has being a bikini competitor empowered you?
So it's definitely, while I was finishing therapy with all of my issues, and my thought process there, so I was very thankful that I had a coach who taught me macros right off the gate. I don't think I would have been as successful, and I don't think that those people that are successful.
Yes, that is picked up. You would think when you tell somebody that you're filming, they would be like all quiet and stuff. Okay, repeat that. Oh my god.
You want to repeat the question?
Yes. Okay, so as a woman, how has being a bikini competitor empowered you?
Okay, so I would say definitely very happy to have had a coach who taught me macros right off the gate, especially coming from a background of supporting habits. There are so many statistics that are thrown around today, but more than likely, the majority of us late have some sort of supported habits or practice or thoughts, whether this society tells us that they're normal
Yeah.
or not. It's a whole other thing and a whole other barrier to try and over when society's telling you, oh, that type of thing is normal when it's not.
Yeah.
Whole other topic for discussion. But utilizing macros and allowing myself to understand what food freedom feels like, while also being able to achieve goals, has been empowering all on its own. I really don't allow my ladies, from a coaching perspective, I don't allow my ladies to meal plan after a week of coaching together. I will give out sample meal plans, and then we work together to start having them make their own meal plan.
Yeah.
Meal plan. You can make it yourself. Like, I follow macros, but I also make myself a meal plan to follow.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a coach telling you what to eat versus a coach saying, hey, this is how many grams of protein, carbs, fats I want you to eat. Let's start empowering you to know how to fuel your body to your best ability. Does that mean you can have a donut? Sure. Is that what we should be eating while on prep? Probably not. But if we needed to, especially if we're a woman who's coming from this background of distorted thought processes towards food, giving ourselves that allowance of a donut, going to instead of being able to hit our goals and realizing okay, one donut isn't going to be the world, versus trying to be restrictive and say, well, it's not on my meal plan, so I can't eat it, so I better have 30.
Yeah.
There's definitely this shift in thought processes. So I definitely feel like prep and being a bikini competitor and having to learn about macros has been extremely empowering in that sense, as well as just becoming more confident in the goal that I want to achieve in myself as a competitor,
right?
As a small business owner, being able to just tell I talk to strangers now I'm just in my home all day by myself talking to a screen. So whenever I get the chance, I'll be at Walmart and I'll just randomly strike up a conversation so I can talk to another human being in real life and be like, hey, you know about bodybuilding? Let's chat about it for a minute. I love doing that. And then I just feel like overall it has allowed me to be more confident in talking about my goals. Of course, with strangers, being more open about social media with my clients. But then the biggest thing is being able to be confident in front of family.
Yeah.
Because families are opinionated and they're going to tell you the things that, whether you want to hear their opinion or not, they're going to tell it to you. And so understanding how to be confident in more choices, and learning how to voice that and not let them, because I have a lot of feeders in my family, so people are showing their love language by eating different foods.
Oh.
Yes. So
oh my gosh, I love you so much. Here's this cake. And you're like, for real?
I'm eating chicken and rice today, but thanks. And so, I feel like bodybuilding has given me more power when it comes to knowing how to stick to my goals, and it really has forced me to communicate with my family versus just allowing them to do their thing, and it screws up my thing.
Yeah.
And because, I've been in the bodybuilding world for almost 5 years now. So, it's taken some time for my family all family members, my family members, my husband's family members, all of my in-laws, it's taken some time, but very supportive now.
Yeah. Well, that's dogs. Well, that's good. You need, I think support is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. As many people as you can get to back you the better.
Absolutely.
The absolute best. Um, da-da-da-da-da. So, are there any changes you would like to see in the women's side of competing that would benefit women more?
Um, I mean, I miss the one piece suit. Can I just say that? I miss the one. Like, I never got to use them. But, man, I don't know if you know Becky. Fit Pro Becky is her Instagram handle.
I think I've heard, I've seen a few of her.
The last one right now is Clausen, maybe, something like that. So she did figure, did bikini, gone pro. It's been a while ago, but now she's a head judge for most of like the big or IFBB pro show.
Yeah.
And she's always posting pictures about her like when she got to compete with one pieces. And I just miss that. I want to wear a freaking one.
What? One
Yes.
piece?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That.
And they were gorgeous. They looked more like bodysuits where it had like the high hips.
Yeah.
And some had like slits on the sides, so you could still see some of your core, but not everything. And I felt like when women were wearing one, the sport was less sexualized, and it was more about and more about the body in an athletic appearance. I'm definitely very happy that bikini is going more of an athletic way, and judges are wanting to see more of a graceful appearance versus
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to posing clinics, and the judges are like, I swear, if I see you doing kissy faces to me, I'm done looking at your routine. My wife doesn't even do that to me. Why in the world are you doing it to a complete stranger?
Dang,
So I mean,
wow.
So I love that the sport is becoming more, less sexualized, I should say, and more based on athletics. I think that's
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a lot of change with, the wellness division being in now, especially because a lot of girls that I know had to cut out doing leg day as much. Yeah, and they have very, quad dominance. Their legs are like very strong and they're like the highlight point of their body. But, there's only bikini or figure, and a lot of, girls don't really want to do figure. And so you have to kind of like lessen your muscles to even be in bikini.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a lot of switchover.
Yes, and so that's actually what was happening to me is my previous coach was really trying to get my leg muscles to get atrophy. So we wanted my leg muscles to get smaller because I'm coming from a soccer and tennis background where I just naturally have like pretty giant legs for, just 5'0". There's no reason why I should have 42-inch boobs. Like, there's no reason for it. I just do.
Yeah.
Like on stage for the Arnold, I had gotten down to 106 pounds, and I still could not get my boobs under 38 inches. I mean,
Wow.
It's just normal bikini competitors are typically around 32 inches, and I just couldn't get them to do it. So I mean, that's one reason why I was eating like 700 calories a day, doing 2.5 hours of cardio a day, trying to get legs to come down. So it's been a godsend that we're having wellness. However, what I'm seeing on the negative side is because so many women were trying really, really hard for getting their legs down, they, are now probably a couple of years behind where they could have been.
Yeah.
If their natural size, and kept looking. And so we're seeing I feel like we're seeing more and more drug use in women because they feel like they need push to have bigger, better, faster.
Yeah.
And so I feel like some of these women are. I see a lot of women right now, like boasting the fact that they went pro in wellness in a year, when in reality, you know what to look for. You can tell that they're a user.
Yeah.
And so it really happens to people that that we have women like that, because then it's either crushing natural women because they think that they can do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, anybody can do it. It's just going to take lots and lots and lots of time.
A long time.
If you're going to be a natural athlete. Or we have these women who are like, well, if she can do it in a year, I want to do it in a year. Give me everything you got.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're just going to end up screwing ourselves up even more, hormonally, emotionally, physically, for long term. So I'm really trying to find, I wouldn't say that there's necessarily a good route or a bad route. Everybody's choice is their choice.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you can get there in, a lengthier time, but your hormones and everything would be intact, I personally go that route.
Yeah, and I haven't chose kind of like a division yet that I want to go into, but as I'm getting leaner and leaner, I've started to see that wellness seems like the division that I should be doing, because at first I was just kind of like, bikini, that's probably, that's where I want to be, blah blah blah. And then as I've started to really lean out, I've started to notice, wow, your quads are like, you barely have to work them out and they're already like huge and really defined. And so it's just kind of like, well, maybe I should work with that. I should work with that. And it's, your calves are like already like big and they're super defined. Like my calves have always been super defined. My quads have always been super defined. And everywhere I go, if I wear like shorts or something, I have people, wow, your quads look amazing. Oh my gosh, they look really good. Do you like do this, do that? Even before I even started training, I'm like, no, what are you talking about? They just look like legs. Is that how they're supposed to look? And so it's just kind of like, now I'm like really starting to think, wow, you should really just go with what your body is naturally doing.
Absolutely. And something that I tell my ladies when they first sign on with me is, and I have some ladies who are like, no, I don't ever want to. Awesome, that's fine. Let's design your program based around how you would like your lifestyle body.
Yeah.
But then I have some ladies who are like, maybe in the next year or two, I would like. Awesome. Let's already try and figure out what division your body would be from now that you want to compete.
Yeah.
We want to start developing those specific muscle groups and designing your body to be more closely resisting what the judges want.
Right.
So whether somebody decides in a year from today that they're going to compete, we've already been working towards that goal for a full year.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So if somebody comes to me, they're like, I don't know if I want to get on stage, but I really like the look of figure. Awesome. Let's start working towards that physique goal. And then most times they're like, yeah, I think I do want to get up on stage. Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I that's kind of how the mindset, I was just kind of like, I just want to, my first goal was to just lose weight. It's just what I want to do. I just want, to lose weight, and boom, that's it. A year ago, that's what I started to do. A friend of mine was like, he was training me for a little bit, and I go work out with him and stuff. And I started to lose weight, change my eating habits completely. I can't even drink a can of soda without getting sick. Like, I cannot. All I drink is literal straight water. Anything with any amount of sugar in it just gives me a headache, because I've been drinking only water for over a year now, and that's it. Which I don't mind. I could drink water hot out my car and I'll be perfectly fine now. But before then, I had like super bad headaches, and like it was just getting past that point of like your body is trying to reject this. But I was just kind of like, no, headache or not, like I'm just gonna drink straight water. And changing my eating habits and stuff, and then the weight started to come off, and I was like, I like this. I was like, oh yeah, getting back into working out, I love this. And then even last year around this time, I told him, I was like, I think I should compete. And he was like, yeah, you have a great build for that. Like, you already have a lot of muscle, even though you didn't work out, like you have a lot of muscle still. And that would be really good for you. And I kept pondering on it for like months, until finally in July I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. Yep, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And so I did, and my first show isn't until July, the end of July. And so even though I still have 30-40 pounds more to go, I know that I can get 30-40 pounds by July for sure. And so it's just kind of like, I had that plunder, but first I had to take that initial step to, okay, before you make that commitment, can you do the basic? And I put in the work that even at the basic, I wanted it enough to where I still lost 40 pounds.
Oh yeah. Now I will say, I know that you've cut out the soda, but you might think about bringing that back, because when calories start to get really low, it's one of the few things that really seems to hold hunger over, because hunger pains do get pretty extreme. I have my ladies limit them, and of course we take it out usually the last week of prep, because carbonation can distend the stomach and you don't feel a home state. But so people will try and chew on sugar-free gum a lot, but that's not calorie-less.
They do have 5 calories in every stick, and you're chewing like 20.
And then I can't remember if gum usually has xanthan gum in it or guar gum. I think it has an ingredient like that in it.
I think it's xylitol or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Similar chemical reaction where it like the of that component is like keep the gum together. Yeah. Which is what guar gum and xanthan gum do. It's a thickening agent which tries to bind things that aren't meant to necessarily be bound. Yeah. And so those are ingredients that I have my ladies stay away from, because it does cause eye distress. Yeah. So all the evils I use to help combat hunger while in a prep or in a cut, I always say, a couple of sodas a few times a week on food. Yeah. Or like flavored water or something. Just to try and help. It's an extreme sport. You get low in calories. So I just try and prepare my ladies, like, start being okay with the hunger, but make sure you have something to fall back on. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, me, I will. I've had these a couple of times, especially when I first started, because that hunger. Because at first he kind of had me on like intermittent fasting, and I was only eating like for like a 6-hour window or something like that, and it was like from I think 1 to 7, and then before then, what am I gonna eat? And then after then, it was like, well, dang, I'm still hungry. So I would get like the kind of like like clear water,
how it's like the carbonated, sweetened, like sparkling 0 calorie, which still has calories in them, but they don't say that. But I would get like some of those, and that's what I would sip on. And he'd be like, "If you feel hungry, drink water." And I'd be like, "Dang, how much water? I'm gonna look like a balloon." Going to pee every like 15 minutes at work. Excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom. You're like, dang, how many times are you gonna go? But I mean, those tips and tricks, like, they really do help. And sometimes I'll get like sugar-free Jello, and I'll make like, put them in like little containers, and before I leave for work and pack my lunch, put Jello in there. Jello, oh God, I love Jello now. I absolutely love it.
Actually, the sugar-free Jello cups have better macros than the make it your own sugar-free Jello.
Really?
For one cup, it's just 1 gram of protein.
Wow. Sugar-free cups.
It's something. But yeah, so I don't know if you're on the new app Clubhouse, but I just got onto that new social media app platform.
Mm-hmm.
I started to see some of these combos and tips, tricks, and all that stuff. So I'm super excited about it.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to look into that now. I am. I'm gonna have to look into that, and because I help people, because a lot of people come at me with questions. But even before I started, my weight loss journey and stuff, I'm really into research, and I want to research every possible thing, and I want to actually be able to stand on the reasons why I'm doing something. Like, if somebody asks me, this is the reason, this is my research, this is what I've done. So they could be like, oh, okay, like, you actually have a knowledge of what you're doing. Oh yeah, I will read scholarly review journals and like look at all the data and read that. And I do that.
Yeah.
And I help people because people are like, I don't know what to do about this, or I don't know what to do about that. And, I've kind of like helped people. Even my best friend, I've helped her lose like 12 pounds in like, almost 2 months. And she's never looked better. And, it's just kind of like, I like to know what I'm talking about, and I like to know what I'm going into, and there's a lot of research behind this, and a lot of people don't really look into the research side, but honestly, it helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Now, I will say, disclaimer for everybody out there, if you're not certified as a health and wellness coach, don't be helping friends just as a liability thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most of the time, I still have friends and family ask me for help, and I say, unless you join on as a client, I am not able legally to help you out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been doing that since the last 10 years for people who just been wanting help, and I'm like, nope, sorry, not a coach. But
yeah.
I can tell you who is, and I have all my clients do it too. You just don't want to screw up anybody's metabolism or
exactly. I just tell people this is what I did. That's all I can say. This is what I did. If you decide to do what I did, that's on you. But this is what I did.
And I tell all my clients, don't share your information because too many people out there try and copy things.
Mm-hmm.
And what your coach has designed for you isn't meant for somebody else.
Right.
So at one point I was trying to share my things, but then I was realizing that too many people were trying to mimic it. So
mm-hmm.
I mean, I have my clients not share it. They're allowed to share some of their things. We have to chat about it first and word it in a way. But our main priority is everyone's safety and health, because some people don't understand that, Betty Sue over here is, 4'9", so she's going to start prep at, 1,700 calories because she's a little person.
Yeah.
110 pounds, that makes sense for her. For somebody who's, 6 foot, 200 pounds, we should be starting prep probably closer to 2,500 calories, 2,800 calories.
Yeah.
And so we never want somebody to hear one person's caloric intake or cardio recommendation
Yeah.
or lifting routine and try to mimic it, because even the same people with the same height, weight, whatever, are going to have different like medical history, and their body will respond to things differently. So you won't even have similar reactions at all.
Yeah, exactly. I have never told anybody, eat this, eat that, and this is your calories and this should be what you're. I've never told anybody that because, like you say, we're all different, and I am extremely tall, and I know there's not a lot of tall people like me, and not a lot of people who have a lot of muscle like me. So you can't eat like me.